Hey everyone, welcome to Nerds Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm Chris.
And today we are reviewing the next episode of The Mandalorian Season 2. That's right, the next episode being Chapter 10, The Passenger. Before we get into all that, if this is your first time tuning into Nerds Talk, we like to create a community here of people with shared interests. We discuss all sorts of things like movies, video games, comics, pretty much anything in nerd culture. And of course, we'd love to hear from you, so feel free to drop a comment below, shoot us an email at nerdstalkinfo@gmail.com, and always, of course, subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you a thing. If you've never watched any of our review videos, we basically are going to go through a quick overview of the episode without any spoilers, and then we'll dive into spoiler territory. So if you haven't watched the episode, definitely come back after you've watched it if you don't want to be spoiled on any of the stuff that we kind of discover. But with that being said, we will get right into it. So Chris, Chapter 10, The Passenger. How did you like this one?
Not too bad. It was kind of more of a filler type, but it's kind of leading into more things and more possibilities in the future without getting into too much until a little bit later after we get into our spoiler section. But not the most exciting episode, but I still enjoyed it. And it was, like I said, leading up to some event, I believe.
Absolutely. So I agree with you. I like that there was some levity in this episode. We got to kind of see, a little bit more humor from a different perspective, and we also got to see just a different side of some of the characters and kind of like how they react and how one character may or may not be affecting another character and kind of how that plays out. So I thought that was really cool. But yeah, it's pretty much just kind of like, okay, we're trying to set the stage for something bigger. At least I hope that's kind of what they're planning here. And like I said, we'll dive into that in the spoiler section. But I think overall it was enjoyable. We got to see again some Easter eggs from like past movies and stuff. Like to sprinkle that in, and of course we got to see just some new stuff, right? New planets, new aliens, whatever you want to call it. So I thought that overall they did a great job of introducing the new, but while keeping some things familiar and kind of keeping it grounded to a certain point. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so let's jump right into the recap here and kind of discuss any of the specific points. So we open up, he's kind of heading back, basically at the end of the last episode, heading back on a speeder bike with a child and basically Boba Fett's gear, along with Craig Dragon meat and kind of the other spoils of his hunt, I guess. And so they're heading back to the hangar where the lady, who I can't remember her name now, I don't have it written down here again, is fixing up the ship and whatnot. And so then we kind of see it from a different perspective. There's some three guys out in the desert that are kind of setting up a trap for him. And so they basically are setting up some sort of like a clothesline kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, a way to kind of trip him as he's driving by. And so they are successful. His bike just goes crashing. He goes flying. The child goes flying, hit the dirt. They come out, and so he's basically fighting all three of them while trying to survive, and at the same time his bike is totaled. Some pretty cool moves. It kind of felt like, he was definitely getting they were definitely had the one up on him, taking a few good hits at him, and then one of the guys grabbing like a gun out, and I'm like, oh man, this is not going to go well. And then it come down to him pretty much taking the majority of them out, with one of them grabbing the child with a knife to its throat, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, don't hurt it, I'll give you anything you want, just don't hurt it. And so the short alien kind of looks over and basically wants the what looked like the armor, but no, we find out it's the jetpack. He wants the jetpack that he has, so he takes it off. I was like, no, you just earned that, don't lose that yet. And he gives it up, and so the guy grabs it and puts down the child and runs off with it. And so Din Djarin just very casually picks up the child, looks at him, grabs his little wrist, punches in a few codes, and bam, the jetpack takes off with the guy attached, goes flying, and then you just see a guy fall and go thud, and he's dead. And then the jetpack comes so neatly down. I'm like, that is so cool. What a great way to take him out. Thought that was great. I was laughing. I was absolutely laughing. I thought that was great. That was a great way to take him out. Just a great opening to the show. Again, showing you how, like, he's a warrior. He can take care of himself. Even the unexpected, he doesn't have to be kind of methodical to do really well. Like, even the unexpected, he's able to kind of get him out of these situations. Really good at thinking on his feet. The child's life is in danger, and he's able to like get out of it and still walk out without losing anything, essentially, right? So really cool opening.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked as soon as he flipped the bike, he kind of automatically put on his jetpack, so he's getting more used to that equipment, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So he was able to smoothly land, and then taking on the guys. He was, on his toes, trying to, defend against them and still keep the child safe and everything that way. So it was very interesting to see when he's ready for a fight, like in the first episode in the opening credit. He's kind of more prepared that it might be a trap. He's going into a kind of fight club. This one caught him off guard, but he was still able to, take down the 3 assailants and keep the child safe. And then he didn't care about giving up the jetpack because he had a plan, right? And then it shows the comedy side where not only did they look at each other and kind of give each other a smirk after the guy fell down, he's like, it kind of happens. And then the jetpack coming down so gracefully, landing, and then just plopping down onto the sand on the side, not standing up straight or anything. So it was funny that way, but also, kind of an interesting intro and got you into it right away, the episode.
And kind of setting up that he's been practicing and like he can control it perfectly. He doesn't even have to be wearing it. He can have it do what it wants to do, have down, smooth landing. Like he's pretty much good to go now. So that later on when you see him do all these crazy moves, it's not unbelievable. You expect that over this course of time, he has been training, he has been using it, and he's kind of equating to it.
Yeah.
So then they move on. He meets in the cantina, and we see the same bug creature, the kind of praying mantis creature from A New Hope. This is one of the big Easter eggs there. In the cantina scene with Obi-Wan and Luke when they first go to Mos Eisley, we see a bunch of aliens, and this is one of the prominent aliens that is shown as well. So I'm not saying it's the exact same character, but same color, the brown skin, the yellow eyes. They kind of brought it back clearly as an homage to that. And obviously that's speaking to the chick, right? The lady that's head of the shop.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're talking whatnot.
Playing a game of sabacc with them.
That's right. They head back to the hangar, and one of her droids by the name of Treadwell is cooking the Krayt Dragon meat that he brought back for them to eat. And she basically is talking to him about some sort of like missions. It's kind of a side mission that she can do for her. Basically he has to ferry a lizard style alien who is carrying her eggs, so he can't use the hyperdrive. So basically he's got to take this creature to another planet. The catch is he can't use the hyperdrive, which he was right away like, no, what do you mean? Like,
that's his only way of getting around.
Exactly.
Without being caught and stuff like that.
And then already he's kind of under some heat after what happened with the prisoners and just kind of everything, trying to stay under the radar. It's not the safest for him to be out there. People are looking for the child. He needs to kind of keep moving. So when he realizes that the eggs will die if he uses the hyperdrive, he agrees to take this creature on this mission. And so we see that the mechanic is speaking to the dragon or lizard creature or whatever, frog creature, in their native tongue, but obviously Din Djarin doesn't speak this language, which is cool. Yeah. So it's not like, C-3PO, he knows Tuscan. So we're kind of wondering, is he able to just speak? No, there are certain dialects and languages he can't speak, so that's fine. And so they agree, and while they're on the ship, he tries to communicate with her, and obviously he can't speak her language, so he asks her if she speaks Huttese, which is Jabba's language, right? The Hutts. So I thought that was funny. Again, like call back to them when they're speaking that language. And so while they're talking and they're doing their thing down below deck, Baby Abby kind of wakes up and is kind of looking around and sees the container of eggs. And so he puts his hand on the container and they slowly start floating towards him. I don't know if you noticed that. They all started kind of coming towards him. So I don't know if he was using the Force to pull them towards him or if there was just some sort of energy, some sort of connection with the creatures, the creatures and him. But so I thought, okay, this is going to be an interesting thing. And then all of a sudden he opens it up and starts eating the eggs like a snack.
Yeah.
So Mando comes out and sees it and is like, what are you doing? And stops him or whatever. And I thought that was, again, some levity there.
And scolding him like a child. No, we don't do that.
Yeah. So that was pretty good because the plan is to, they got to make this trip. They can't hyperdrive, so it's going to be a while. So he decides to go take the child and go sleep in the sleeping quarters while I guess the lizard person sleeps up in the hangar. And so they go to sleep and then they wake up to alarms and apparently 2 X-Wings hail him. They contact him and ask him why his tracking beacon is off. And one of the X-Wing pilots is Dave Filoni. He's back again, which is awesome. And so... yeah, so they're trying to figure out, and he's like, oh, it didn't really work properly, and they want to confirm that he's not like some Empire or some bad guy, so they're trying to get information from him, and as they're kind of heading towards this planet, they ask him a few more questions, and he gets to the point where he's like, okay, I'm caught. They're gonna discover who I am. I gotta lose these guys, right?
Yeah, well, the one pilot, I believe, the one Filoni's playing, asked to change to channel 2.
That's
all of a sudden
right.
their wings open up into battle mode,
Yes.
where attack mode and fight mode.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, okay, they're kind of catching on. They ran his tags essentially, kind of thing, and saw. So now he's like, okay, I gotta fly away
Lose
now.
them.
Yeah, because they're like, you gotta follow us to this planet essentially, and follow up with them.
Yeah, they want to speak to him and stuff, and so he takes off, try to lose them in the clouds, does some crazy maneuvering and stuff like that, falls, turns off his engine, falls, and tries, so it's like harder for them to track the heat signatures and stuff like that, and basically crash lands on this ice planet, and the ship ends up falling through the ice down to a deeper cave of some sort, and so his ship has been pretty bad damage. He's got to repair
serious damage for sure.
Yeah, so he has to repair his ship. It's pretty bad. So they're sitting there. He figures, okay, we'll have to deal with it in the morning. Whenever, let's get some sleep. And it's cold. So like he gives like a blanket to the mother. And so the child kind of snuggles up to him, and they kind of bear in for the night. The lizard's trying to speak to him. He doesn't understand. Trying to explain the situation. So the lizard kind of puts her blanket on the eggs to try to keep it warm, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So he falls asleep, and then the alien kind of looks around and sees the old parts of Zero, the droid from the Prisoner episode, because he had destroyed him and I guess just left the parts in the ship. So she looks over, and then we kind of flip where we hear Zero talking to Mando.
Yeah. And Mando, wake up! This can't wait until the morning.
That's right. So he freaks out, grabs his gun, like, oh no, this guy's alive. And the alien uses the Zero's voice box to translate what she's saying. So I thought that was such a cool thing of like bringing back an old character, bringing back the voice, and using it, because most droids have the innate ability to just translate different languages and stuff like that. So she used it to translate, and so now she's explaining like, my eggs will die out here. We have to go. We have to find a way off this planet. It's the only way to carry on my race.
Yeah, she's the last of her line. Like,
yeah, we got to meet up with her husband and all this kind of stuff. And so he understands. So he decides to kind of go outside and try to repair the ship as best he can. So he heads out. He's trying to fix it. So he's basically trying to fix it. The child comes out and kind of makes his way to him, trying to let him know that like the
mother's gone.
Gone. So he kind of looks over, looks at the footprints, and realizes that she took off. So he kind of follows her with the child and sees her and finds what looks to be a hot spring in the middle of this ice cold area. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty convenient. So she's out there like bathing and like warming up, has the eggs all floating in this open pool to keep them super warm while he's fixing the ship. She kind of gets over there and says, this isn't good. We got to keep moving. So he's trying to collect the eggs and trying to get going. And so
he's like, I can't protect you in this open, because it's a big cave kind of thing. A lot of openings, a lot of, a lot of space to cover, essentially.
That's right. So the child starts looking around and starts walking towards what looks like this egg. This cave is littered with these eggs in this ice planet. So I'm thinking, well, is this like Wampa? Like, what are they going to do? What kind of creatures are we going to see here? And so we kind of see as the camera pans out that there's a ton of eggs. Like, we're talking like thousands of eggs everywhere. So the child kind of walks up to one, opens it up, cracks it open, and starts eating it. And what looks like a baby spider. And just eats it. I'm like, oh, man, that's nasty. And so he eats it. He's having a good time. And then all the other eggs start shaking and start to hatch. Like, just conveniently at the same time. I don't know if they noticed or whatever, what happened. But they all start to hatch. And so the child freaks out, starts running back. And then Mando starts realizing what's going on. So they're like grabbing the eggs. They're like, let's go. We got to get out of here. And then bigger spiders start coming out. Bigger intermediate spiders start coming out. And they're chasing them through this cave. And there's like thousands upon thousands. And as they're running, then the big... huge mother or whatever, very like Harry Potter, like massive huge spider breaks out and just starts chasing them. I'm like, oh great, this is where it gets like arachnophobes, man. This is not the best episode. So they're beelining it. He's trying to shoot the lizard frog alien person, realizes like, oh crap, so just okay, and now I'm back to frog mode and starts hopping and like just bouncing right past Mandalorian, like I'm getting out of here. And Mando's the one that's carrying the eggs and he's carrying the child, and he's like trying to get out of there. And so they're shooting and try to blast their way out. And I think he even at one point does
three detonators. He throws 3 detonators
in hopes to get the big spider. So he throws them at the ceiling. It cracks. The spider falls down. 2 other detonators on the walls. He explodes it. hoping that it knocks out the big spider, which it does. It knocks it out.
Yeah.
They keep running. The other spiders keep chasing, and no matter how many kills, they just keep getting on them. So they rush into the ship, but his ship has a big hole in it. They can't close the door. So as he runs in, the spiders are all crawling into the ship. So I'm like, oh my gosh, claustrophobia! These massive spiders. They run into the cockpit. And they try to close the doors, and the spiders are trying to break through the doors. They're shooting.
Some get through.
Uses a flamethrower on it to try to close the door. And then one of them gets on the child, and we're like, oh no, it's gonna bite him. And then bam, it gets shot, and that alien,
the mom,
last one, saves his life. I'm like, that's awesome. So they're all in there. They're like, okay, we're safe for now. And then sure enough, the big mama giant spider is alive and comes through and starts like hacking out the ship, trying to break holes. It actually does successfully break holes at it.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, like, I don't know what else to do. Like, we're stuck in this place. They're getting through. Like, this is the end. What do I got here? Yeah, so then Mando hears some shooting, and he kind of comes out to see what the sound is like. It sounds like massive fire. Blasters, like, from planes and stuff like that. It turns out the 2 X-Wing pilots had come. They were shooting them, both with their pistols, I guess. Initially, the big spider, they used their X-Wing bullets. And then they took out the little spiders with their pistols. But, man, Blasters. They took them out. It was awesome. They saved them. And so they have a conversation.
I love this interaction that they have.
Yeah, like, so they have this conversation. So they ask him about, they talk about scanning the Razor Crest and finding out that he broke out a prisoner. But he also captured some of the other people. And that they saw him on camera that he tried to save the rebel's life and kind of like what he did. And so like he should be arrested, but he did a really good thing. And so like they're kind of like torn on what they should do.
They're like, it's trying times right now. Like we should arrest you, but we saw all the good things that you did essentially. And he like triggered them back to the guy that he let.
Yes, who they blew up. And stuff like that.
So they blew up.
So they decided to let him go for what he did. And so he's kind of like, well, how about you guys come down and help me fix my ship or whatever. And then what was the line?
I'll take the bounties, and instead of my bounties, you guys come help me fix the ship.
Yeah, and then what did they say to him?
They respond, how about you fix your your transponder next time, and we won't blast you out of the sky.
Yeah, like later, and they just leave him there. Like, if you survive, you survive. Like our debts, you tried to save our guy, we saved your life. We're out. If you die, you die, and that was it. And I was like,
we're even now.
Like you never think like a rebel, like the way you think of like Luke and the rebels and stuff, always there to help the guy. You wouldn't expect this, but they're like, listen, we got jobs to do. Like, we just killed the Empire. There's a lot of, like, we're busy. We can't help every lone person anymore, I guess, right? So it was interesting. So they kind of left him there. So Mando, I guess, does enough repairs on the holes in the cockpit, at least. Patches up some of the door, but, I mean, there still is some major damage to the ship. And so they leave, and they decide to sleep in the cockpit with on their way to the planet. He makes a joke about like the door holding up, and then he laughs and says, well, if it didn't, we'd all be dead anyway, blah, 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 whatever. And then as they kind of fall asleep, we see Baby Abby eating one last egg as a little last joke that he still has another one to snack on, of course. And it cuts. So I thought that was really, really cute. So, you know, humor throughout, funny moments, great interaction. Yeah, you know, very intense moments, that spider scene chasing them. Like, I loved everything about it, but it was very it was very interesting, not to say the least. But what did you think? What did you think of the episode overall?
Yeah, I found it not too bad. Some, you know, funny interactions, especially with the rebels. To see him maneuver his ship the way that he does.
Oh, yeah.
That was interesting because usually when he's flying, you know, he's just going to point A to point B. We saw that one battle in season 1 where the bounty hunter was trying to battle him, and he kind of pulled back and changed it that way. Right before he landed on Tatooine the first time, but this time he like really put the ship through the work. So it was cool to see what he could do with that ship, even though it's more of a transporter type, not really a battler or anything like that, or a quick moving one. So yeah, I loved seeing the creatures. It was something different than, you know, the typical snow creatures we see, and it's not the typical spider we saw as well. And then, as I was speaking to earlier, like this will allow them to set things up because his ship's in really bad, you know, condition.
Yes.
So he's going to have to take these new jobs, which will, you know, be more episodes and more reasons for him to take bounties or jobs or whatever it may be, so that he can have credits to fix his ship and so on. So
Yeah.
this was kind of like a lead up to, okay, he not only is he going to have to go to different planets because he'll have to make either pit stops or do a mission there or do whatever it may be, so that will help expand the universe that way, and planets that we are introduced to or see again, but also new creatures, new people, and new ideas for them to kind of expand on.
Hmm.
So it'll be good that way, because
Absolutely.
we know where they're going to push off, finding baby Abby's species and the planet and all that stuff. So they're going to push that back.
It's
Obviously,
breadcrumbs, right? I mean, if they even discover like the place, they might discover at the end, this is the name of it. Okay, great. Next season they're going to travel there, and then they
yeah,
get there, and then we have to learn about the species and the names, and like they're going to slowly trickle it out to give you like, here's like the overall, like, this is what everyone wants to figure out. We're going to get
yeah,
you there eventually, and then all this kind of crazy stuff will kind of teeter off, and then maybe there'll be 2 or 3 other interesting plot lines, so then they can close one up and then take you on this new plot line. So I mean
that's
that
right.
it's smart, especially when they're trying to do this Star Wars universe,
With the
cinematic universe,
multiverse, yeah,
exactly, with the TV shows, and trying to have other spin-off shows connect, and kind of how they interweave through an overall, not really an overall story, so to speak. It's not like part of the Skywalker saga per se, but just like how one
introduce
show can
characters
spin
and like
off and
spin
kind of,
off into,
yeah, and
yeah.
show different parts of the galaxy and different adventures and stuff, which is really cool. I saw some. I didn't read any articles. I'll have to do some digging. So I don't know how true this is, but I was perusing some channels and stuff like that of some people, and there was some talk about Luke Skywalker appearing in Mandalorian. Now I don't
I
know if that
heard a
is,
little bit about that as
yeah,
well,
because I
which
mean,
would be
like,
interesting.
because he's like, the whole goal right now is for him to bring up and start the new generation of Jedi. We knew that in the
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens, they talk about that he had trained some, and then obviously Kylo turned, and then some left, and some died, and so he definitely got to that goal. So he's out in the galaxy. He's definitely finding people. So if he's looking for a Force user or these Jedi, maybe, especially if he's been on Tatooine and he's in certain areas that he may have heard of, or someone directs him to this Luke Skywalker who helped destroy the Empire, who was a Jedi, and so maybe he's gonna look to find him, and maybe on his way to find him, he bumps into other people, or maybe there is a cameo of
Yeah.
CGI young Luke or something like that to touch base and be like, hey, what's going on? I don't know. I mean, but if that was the case, you would think that he would leave the child with him, and then the fact that was never in the other movies, that would be kind of weird. So it'll be interesting to kind of see where they take it from here. I don't know how much credence him being in the season is, considering that we know, again, spoilers here again, if you're watching this point in the video, we know that Ahsoka will appear, if not in this season, definitely in the show. But we
Yeah.
expect it to happen in season 2. We obviously knew Boba Fett. We already saw him at the end of the last episode. So there are other characters that are going to be making appearances and spinning off, and there might be an Ahsoka show. We already know that there is confirmed a live-action Ezra and Thrawn show that's going to be happening as a sequel to Rebels. It's not animated; it is live-action. And so Ahsoka potentially having her own show, or crisscrossing in their show. There's going to be spin-offs, and so are they going to want to have Luke appear, considering that he's pretty much, his journey is done with the movies? I don't know. I mean, it's possible, but it'll be interesting to kind of see what other characters they decide they want to throw in. I'm more interested in, are we going to see them cross paths with other bounty hunters? Are we going to see Bosk? Are we going to see IG-88? And then
Yeah.
maybe, somehow he reprograms IG-88 to become the new IG-11 and be good, or something like that's what I'm more intrigued to see. We have Boba Fett back. He's going to want probably revenge or something. We're going to see kind of where he goes out, but he did work with the other bounty hunters, or at least he was hired with the other bounty hunters by the Empire, and he's definitely crossed paths with them before. So it would be interesting to see whether he calls for them their aid, or just Mando bumps into them along the, he's a bounty hunter, and they are bounty hunters. It wouldn't be surprising that they would cross paths on some sort of quarry at some point, right?
Yeah, and I believe Bo-Katan might even be in it, so she's
That's
a
right.
Mandalorian as well.
That's right.
So it's rumored that she'll be in this season as well, which this she might even be, because with some of the trailers that we saw, that one mysterious woman, a lot of people are thinking that that's her, which would be interesting to see.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
might find out next episode, and he might meet, because the mother alien creature said that she knew Mandalorian that were walking around at the planet that they're going to. So I wonder if her clan is there or whatever it may be.
Makes sense. That's right. She did mention that. And so, yeah, we could meet up with Bo-Katan. We could also meet up with some Force-sensitive person, and evil or good. We'll have to wait and see. We saw that person in the trailer that kind of appeared and then disappeared when he kind of took a double take. Looked like a female character. So it could be like a Dark Jedi or someone who has played with the Sith, the dark side or something. Who knows? Yeah. But we'll have to wait and see kind of where that kind of takes us. But it'll be very interesting, I think, overall to kind of see where we go. There's so many possibilities. And like I said, they aren't afraid to try new things, which is what Star Wars really needs. Like, yeah, we love the familiarity. You can throw Easter eggs in, you can throw stuff to kind of keep it grounded, but do something unexpected, go to new places, and then we're happy.
People, just expand it. Expand the universe. You have the creative right to do it and ability, and I really trust Filoni and Favreau as well. So they're both very smart guys, and really seem to know the Star Wars universe and fans and everything George Lucas has in mind when he was creating this universe.
Absolutely. So I mean, overall, we both liked the show. We both agree it was a little bit of a filler, but regardless, it was entertainment. It was enjoyable. Like I said, the levity, the action, they kind of had a little bit of everything thrown in there to kind of keep the story going. And while there wasn't much from a plot development, he's still looking for Mandalorian. He's still looking for, the more information. To figure out what the child is going to be. He had a bump in the road. He had a mission he had to do, but there was a potential benefit to him getting to this reward, which is meeting up with another Mandalorian or something. And they took a detour, and it was what it was. But I think, like I said, when I talked about like seeing how characters interact, how he interacted with a child, how he is definitely taken more of a father figure, how they are more of a clan, and he cares more about it, and is speaking to it and scolding it and trying to teach it stuff. How he's very protective of it, right? At the beginning when it died, he could have been like whatever, but no, like he's willing to give up anything, even his own jetpack, which is a passage of right for the Mandalorians. He's like, that doesn't matter to me. Like, this child means more to me than that. So it would have been interesting if he asked for the helmet, and if he was willing to take off the helmet. Like, I wondered if they'd ever go that far, and then they were going to, and then like he like kill him,
pointing at
or something. Yeah, and I was like, oh, are they going to go that far? And not yet. I'm sure something will come up. Like I said, maybe when he speaks to someone real, like Boba Fett or stuff, and the whole like. Or Bo-Katan, and be like, that's not really a Mandalorian thing, and then maybe that won't be as big of an issue going forward as he learns like the true history of the Mandalorians. But yeah, there's a lot of things that can go. I enjoyed it. You enjoyed it. You're both excited for the possibilities of what's to come next. But we're interested to find out what you thought. Let us know. Drop a comment below. Did you like the episode? Did you not like the episode? What do you think might be happening in the next few episodes? What do you think might happen in this season? And what do you think that we discussed is probably not going to happen this season? Let us know. And as always, friends, stay nerdy.